Hello everyone, my name is Kazim and welcome to my rant. I took a break for over I think 3 months and I recorded some episodes. Interestingly, I wanted to drop them, but I felt those episodes weren't good enough, and with that I gave other excuses. I gave other excuses that I probably needed a better gear to have my sound quality to sound good, I guess. Also, I said work was taking too much of my time. And okay, so a quick backstory. I finished my national diploma at Yabatech last year. And with that time, I was actually said, because of school and work, merging both of them together, I had to take a break from the podcast so I don't overwhelm myself, which was true. I had a lot on my plate, but that wasn't really the reason why I wasn't able to continue with the podcast, because actually even thinking about it now, because I started this podcast when work and school were at its peak. So I got a new job as at I think March, and even before the new job I already had a lot of things on my decks as before I switched, and I was still in school, so that means I already had workload at the peak. So it wasn't really the podcast wasn't going to be an issue. I could actually handle that fine. So I found myself in this spiral of excuses and the right word, procrastinating. So, and interestingly, I recorded a podcast, an episode about procrastination, and I think the episode wasn't as detailed as it should, so that's why I didn't even publish it in the first place. And now I think I should kick off with the podcast, and I feel the best way to actually kick off is to talk about the reason why I took a break in the first place. And in sincere truth, I was actually procrastinating. That's just the answer to that question, because I realized about a lot of things during that whole time that excuses are like man's best enemy that can portray itself as a friend. Because my previous boss used to say there's no excuse for anything, and I'm like, it's not possible, because I feel there are reasons, but to another person it always sounds like an excuse, because the person is not the person going through that situation at that moment. And I still feel that way at this moment. That's an interesting thing, because I still feel there are some situations where there are actual sincere reasons that might be considered as excuse by someone else looking at the whole situation, which is why I think I don't know. I don't have much to think about though. Well, yeah, basically this episode is actually to talk about how I've handled procrastination, how I manage it, because I still find myself procrastinating. I can't actually deny that fact, because I even noticed a lot of people actually procrastinate. I posted something on my status recently and I asked people how they handle procrastination, and I got some very interesting response. I was going to share it back, but something led to another. I actually procrastinated and I did share it. So that's another thing I want to talk about. So one of the things I've noticed about procrastination is it leads to us forgetting things, and that's one of the things I try to tackle, right? So yeah, procrastination is bad, but one of the things that is worse is actually forgetting to do those things, which it comes from procrastination. So what I do, one of the ways I actually manage that is to actually create some sort of reminders. So this might sound tricky, but I have an alarm for many weird times during the day and at night. So for one of the alarms I have, I think I stopped it at some point because I felt like I could always remember, and I discovered that I couldn't always remember, was to thank God at a specific time of the day. No, I won't share that time. But yeah, the alarm just comes on, and all I just have to just do is to say, God, thank you for so far. It's not even at the end of the day, it's just midday, and I can actually just thank God. But I felt it's something I should have more gratitude to do. And when I stopped the alarm, I discovered that I actually forgot to thank God. I know that sounds very bad at me, but I'm doing my best to actually work on that. Yeah, that's one. So reminders, I feel reminders helps us a lot to actually remember things and our brains can't always remember everything. That's just the sad part. It can't. So even sometimes I always think I would remember these things. I just tell myself, there's no need to write it, there's no need to actually say it. I'll remember it. But I noticed that after some time, then I forget these things, and it happens over and over and over. So which I feel those reminders help a lot. And there are many apps I use for reminders. I use my to-do list app. I'll talk about to-do list actually, but I use my to-do list app to set reminders. I use normal alarm. I use my calendar. Google Assistant has been awesome because I just basically just have to type it in, or probably just say it if I don't feel like typing, and it reminds me at the time I want it to remind me about stuff. And yeah, that's just one of the major ways I actually help myself to avoid procrastination. So the second way I do is, I already mentioned it, to-do list. So recently, I got this tip from a friend at church. So in my department, we do share tips about how productivity hacks and stuff. So she shared a tip about using to-do list. And interesting thing is, I was a fan of using to-do list like a year and a half back, I guess. But being full of myself, or I guess pride or whatever it is, or procrastination, I stopped using it. So recently I started using it back, and it has been awesome because I put a lot of tasks on my list, and before the end of the day, once I'm clearing out tasks, I mark it out. And there's this interesting thing I like about the to-do list app I use, which is Microsoft To Do. There's this sound that comes after it, so it's like down. I guess it releases dopamine in my brain, some sort of a way to appreciate myself for doing that task and doing it at the time I set for it. So you can actually set tasks to actually go for a specific time, and you can just set. Most times I actually just set it. I don't even give a specific time because I know I have a lot of work and some things come up that I can't factor it into. So it will just affect the time that I'm setting for other tasks to work on. So I just line it up there, and before the end of the day, I try as much as possible to clear out all tasks that I have to do. So that's one of the things I do. Before I go on to the next one, I'd just like us to take a break. So we'll come back. Yeah. Okay, welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about to-do list and reminders. So the final one, I think there are two, but I can just say merge it into one. It's getting help and put yourself out there. So it might sound a bit tricky, and I think I linked this from one podcast I always listen to. That's Morning Brew. Sorry, Founders Journal. The company is Morning Brew by Alex Lieberman. So he said something about putting himself out there when it comes to things he knows he wants to he wants people to help check him up on. So for example, for example, this episode, let me give an example that I'll actually need to do. So I'm going to put myself out there that I'll be dropping an episode every two weeks, so every fortnight. And doing this would create two things. So one, I'll most likely get someone to find out why I haven't dropped an episode when it's over 2 weeks, or when it's exactly 2 weeks. That's one. Then two, I would have some sort of, should I say, internal guilt reminder, I guess, because I've tried it on other situations. I don't want to give example about that, but I say things out there, and sometimes it doesn't have to be to everyone. So that's why I say get help. Sometimes it can just be to a friend. So I just probably ask a friend, oh, please, can you remind me about this? It's not like I can't set a reminder on my phone to do that. So that's where the trick comes in. So sometimes you can actually set a reminder, and by yourself, you go there and delete that reminder. Like, guys, stop disturbing me. I don't want to do this task. And I actually got to that level that I had reminders, I had alarms, but I didn't take those steps, right? Because something in me didn't just want to take those steps. That's just the truth. I had an excuse. That I think that's where excuses come in a lot, because you always find a way to just justify why you're not doing that thing at that moment. So getting help and put yourself out there. So when you actually tell your friend to actually please remind you, or do this if I don't do this, stuff like that, you understand? It helps a lot to remember to do those tasks, right? Because if you don't get that kind of help at some point, you just find yourself in this situation where you think you can help yourself, and at the same time you are doing that same action. So I also heard something, I don't know how true it is. They say insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So you just continue telling yourself you are going to get better, you're going to do this thing, and you continue telling yourself that, and you do something different over and over again. So that's how I see it. So most likely I think getting help and putting yourself out there helps a lot to actually do these tasks. And if you get that help constantly and you do it, you see yourself, and there's this release of dopamine in your brain that gives you this satisfying feeling that you perform the task and you got it done. So the more you get that, the more you want to actually achieve more tasks and complete more tasks, if I would say. So yeah, that's like one of the major things I did to handle procrastination. So that's it. Quite a short episode, and I think before our next episode I'll most likely be getting someone on the show so we discuss on other topics. And also, if you have any idea, any topics you really want us to talk about, just send me a mail, or you can hit me out on any social media platform. I'm Kazim Quadri01. Thank you very much. Have an awesome day, evening, night, whichever one. Yeah, don't forget, my name is Kazim Quadri. Bye.